Sending data. Are we live?
Probably not.
Are we
Hey, we'll
live?
see.
Oh, we've got a Facebook. We've got a YouTube.
Ooh,
We've got
let's go
a
fast.
Twitch. Twitch is having some difficulties.
Oh, we should share links, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I've got one channel. I got what I can do.
Oh, there goes one bot.
All right. I mean,
Do welcomes. I'm sending things.
sure. Welcome. Hopefully everyone can hear us.
Nobody's here yet. Well, we're welcoming. Oh, no, Jeff Stevenson, we're good to start.
I have a JP. Howdy. Can we get a sound check? Because we just sort of threw this together sort of the last half an hour. So I am trying to run things here from my end. And, you know, we're trying it. We're going to see what happens.
Boom. All right. That's in. We send across all the things.
Yep. Just pinging on my end.
Sound is bangers.
Beautiful. All right.
All right.
Well, as you can see, no Assad tonight. So it's just the three amigos here going to try to whip something together. Although Joey, what, you got a hot date leaving soon?
I do, with a beer and a bunch of games.
Sounds good.
Sorry, with a couple beers and a bunch of games.
Nice. All right.
Nice coverage. Nobody noticed.
So looks like we got a couple people on YouTube. Oh, this is pretty cool, actually. You can see where everyone's watching from.
Talking about them. I want to put a link. I need to reach out to like the Team Covenant server, because like the Team Covenant Discord server has been talking about Genesis like all weekend long.
Oh, wow.
But I don't want to go bug them. Like I don't want to throw it because there's not like a channel for it, so it'd be kind of rude.
Fabled Legends. Hey, I'm new to the game and I need some help with understanding Nullify. Oh, that's a great question. We could just do a little Q&A session tonight. That could work.
So,
we have a few
Nullify
things.
is pretty simple in the sense that it stops everything. Like the only thing it doesn't hit is immediates and continuous because they're not on the stack.
We just gotta get through the stack, right? So once that's in, everything that's played after Nullify still goes through.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So Nullify will take everything played by a champion.
Champion or summon.
Or a summon. Well, normally summons can only do one thing. Let's not confuse the new players.
Well, I was just saying, you saying negate everything from a champion. I want to make sure they know they can do a summon.
So that means you can negate a technique, a cast, you can negate a beckon, you can negate you could negate a decoy if the Chrono Walker was in that position, right?
Yeah.
Funny. Oh, what a false sense of security.
What is abilities? So abilities are anything that's on the text. So I'm going to actually use our Fate Weaver here. Let me just jump into card collection. What's your favorite card, Alex?
Chrono Walker.
Oh, what the worst.
I did that for Will.
What's the worst? All right, let's just make sure this is showing up. All right, so Chrono Walker there is in the corner, right? So the abilities are basically laid out in this similar fashion. We have a black box, some text, a white box, and then we have the rules text underneath there, the smaller text. So your black box is going to be your speed. The middle text there, that's usually bold and bigger and easier to read, that's basically what the ability is. Your white box is going to be your cost. And then if there is any necessary rules text, that shows up underneath that. So you got your speed, your ability, and your cost.
So is there actually, that's a question. Is there any line like on a stack? You have a stack. Is there a line on a stack that wouldn't be considered an ability ever?
No.
Okay.
Only abilities go to the stack. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's an argument that, continuous, although they are abilities, they're not stacked abilities. They're just sort of they're always sort of happening.
That makes sense.
All right. Should we any more questions? Shall we move on?
Yeah. Got Tavern here. Got Lady. There's a whole bunch of people. It's been fun.
Nice.
It was a real. I don't know how active you guys were over the weekend in Discord, but like everybody was talking. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw there's a lot of I think. Well, I mean, I think what helps here is that we had some coverage that people were able to
Yes.
watch and see. That's something that I think, going forward, as Genesis builds and as we grow momentum, right? I think one of those things is getting either individuals or people willing, like, Steve was willing to bring some stuff and set up and having that, it would be wonderful to have like a crew, right? But I think we're a little far away from a streaming crew, but
Yeah, we got to pick our battles. I know some of the original ones were at conventions, and those became release forms.
oh,
So that was the issue that we had. Like, technically, Jordan's Scheming Skeleton couldn't even actually do the live stream he did at Origins Game Fair, just
mhm.
because there was the kind of unintentional passing through, and
Yeah.
we were just like, just turn. So that's why, like, halfway through, he just like turns the camera towards the curtain.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Privacy is a big topic, right? But we got a couple more questions. So does this apply to shutdown? So shutdown will refer to, actually I could look it up, but maybe Alex, you want to take this one?
Is he asking, does this apply to shutdown? Like, could you negate a shutdown?
So well, I mean,
Like, I need
Do
further
both.
more of a question.
shutdown itself.
Yeah,
Shutdown itself negates cast abilities, so any ability with the name of cast.
yeah.
And yes, shutdown itself is an ability, so it would be negated by a nullify if it was on the stack.
There you go. A counter spell to your counter spell.
Yeah.
I think we had a Wicked Sid show up. Ben's showing up. There we go.
Nice.
Coverage was amazing. Hats off to HOT and Gaming and Joey for making it a great afternoon and evening of watching. So
That was great. It was weird because they didn't have a lot of space there. Like, that place is really small. But in their efforts to be cool, they've got like these tables that have like raised platforms.
okay, yeah. So I wondered, like, there some people's decks were like lower and they like were reaching underneath. I didn't know if they had like a double decker table or
Yeah,
something,
so-
but
So the top table was like raised up a bit,
okay.
and it fit a mat, and then the areas behind fit decks and whatnot. But the table that was next to it was like, it was more of a like a D&D kind of thing, D&D setup. And the platform was so big, there was no direction you could actually play the thing on. So it just became a big wasted table, and that's where we just like, well, screw it, we're just gonna set up here.
Just go for it, right? Yeah.
But we were like, oh, please don't have like 20 people show up, which thankfully we didn't. We would
But
have been a
there's a
fire
good
hazard.
number though. What was it?
was 12.
12? Yeah, that's awesome. Sweet.
And it was a nice blend of a lot of things too. As far as, I think 3 Altas, 3 Coons, Core. I've got them all here, by the way. I know people have been asking. In Fate Weaver, I actually put in at least the top 2 decks. You just got to find the ones that say Lost Star. You can search for Coon Core. So let's just go.
Yeah, we have the top 2 decks that we can go for.
Lost Star Circuit.
So how many new champions? I think I saw Alta and Kareen. Was there any others?
Let's see. Alta, Kareem. I know I broke down the list somewhere else, but I've just got them all here. There was a Raha, there was Nubia, more Alta, Rain. No. Just those.
Yeah. Okay.
Just those 2.
So this was just for everyone who wasn't aware, it was the first Origins legal event or circuit. I mean, I think some local groups have been playing with the Origin stuff since they've basically got their hands on it. But this was the first sort of gathering, circuit event, tournament style where we had actual Origins legal. So it was looking at, what new champions were the first ones people gravitated to, and that we have Alta and Kareen. And the Kareen player looked like they were doing pretty well.
Yeah. I caught a little bit of kind of what they were doing, and it's really interesting to see the kind of jams that Kareen can get out of.
Yeah.
Because I know that the one that he was on stream with versus Alta,
Yes.
like, he was getting swarmed a little bit, and I was like, how are you getting past us? And then Kareen does Kareen things. I'm like, oh, okay then.
Nice.
It was really interesting. That's the first. I just put this in chat for everybody. At least in the YouTube chat. I'll have to probably do the Facebook one, the first place one, and then the second place deck. As you can tell, I think this is my first ETL, so bear with me.
Shout out. So yes, Tavern Brawlers. Yes, Origins is fully legal now. Along with the rulebook too. Rulebook 5.0 is now is up on the website. It should also, if you want to refresh, and it has also the Origin specific mechanics required, as well as some updates and a refresh about game flow and just how the structure of the game works, as the game builds momentum. And Jared, yeah, boxes arriving tomorrow. That's super exciting. Make sure to post your polls.
Yeah, we've had so many people posting and showing off the like box openings and things like that. It's been really cool.
One real question that was just asked: is negate cast considered a negate as well as a cast, or is it its own ability type? Yes, it is both a negate and a cast.
She just stopped it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What is it? Compete Sports, right? Like Compete Sports had a bunch of people open the pre-alphas, which I know, a little jealousy over here at the Heads or Tails community. We had a lot of Iblis and a lot of Safars open over here, but none of the pre-alphas. And now we're getting to see some of these. They do exist pre-alphas out there, so it's very exciting for those players.
Including that precious angel.
Yeah.
And like everyone's keeping them.
Oh, for sure.
That's the thing that's been funny is this is one of those great Kickstarters that you're like, well, are people just gonna flip it? Nobody's like there are maybe some sales, you might get lucky, but it's not flippable, and we're all kind of laughing. I'm like, yeah, I've opened the thing, shut up.
Yeah, well, you're playing with it, right? Like most of us, we've always been sort of play first in this community. So I know a lot of people may be looking for Origin stuff, and their store may not have it yet, but so that's definitely an option if people want to reach out to different people to try to get stuff. But I mean, retailers that bought in are definitely have the product there, so or should have it by now.
Any who are watching, if you have a store who you'd like to do an open house or anything like that, I put my email in again the YouTube chat, so joe@hanacastlegaming.com.
So what was your favorite part of the circuit event this week, Joey?
That's kind of tough, actually, because there are a lot of really cool things. It kind of depends on the angle of it, because there were a lot of people who were playing for the first. This was the first time they were either playing. For a lot of people, it's the first time they were playing somebody like physically in person. So that was really cool. It was really cool to see that we had like a bunch of different states out, like Kobold Keep. Big shout out to them. They had two guys, Chris being one of them, who came in second.
Nice.
They're out from Nevada.
Oh wow.
We met them at Gamma. Tim's out from California, from Kitchen Table. We naturally had like the Washington crowd. It was cool. And then of course Steve-O and that crew. So that was really neat. Seeing this tiny little shop that's like you go downstairs. First up, you're going downstairs into this like I don't even know. I don't even. It's a basement. I think mine's a little smaller. But you're like, you don't expect much from this thing, and then you see like the custom like Genesis Coon and banner in the back, and this whole like he's got it's like this hidden museum.
Yeah.
That has no business like being where it would be. Like you wouldn't think that. Kind of like how the Hockey Hall of Fame is like at the bottom of a food court. Like why? So that was really cool to go through the history and see all that cool stuff. Of course, having Leslie out was a blast. And she was signing stuff constantly. And then we were all watching her do her little like Sarah and the Angel playing a game eating donuts drawing. Like that's adorable. So yeah, all that stuff was really cool. And then it was neat to just watch a lot of people just enjoy kind of learning the game. Like for most people who were there, this was a learning experience. And even those who came in and came in last, they're like, I learned so much from doing this. And that's one of those things that Genesis is. I joke that I went back to my first review that I ever made on Genesis, and it's like, it's not that it was like as terrible as I thought it was. I sucked so bad. But it was neat to see a lot of different styles. It was neat to kind of see people start to catch on as the tournament progressed.
Mhm.
So I think like for most people who hadn't really been playing a lot, they legit became better players as the tourney went through, which was very cool. And then the final, man, like that final match was really cool to see that back and forth. I'm so glad it went to 3. I'm so glad.
You're
Because when
glad.
you-
It was like 1 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh guys, come on, get this going.
Well, if you're seeing like so much of the rope tornado madness just
Yes.
over and over and over again, and then see it kind of put a little bit in its place from a deck that is just, for lack of a better term, just nonsense. It is like 2s and 3s, and that it's a billion different tricks, probably because that's all he had in the collection. But to see that kind of versatility do so much, to see the power of sideboarding come in and actually put him in kind of in his place a little bit. And even with Tim's kind of return sideboard, which he took out, I think, all of the tsunamis.
Yes.
I have a video. I haven't had a chance to post it yet. But like he turned all the counters so he can, which led to the shutdown of Doom that knocked out an Epiphany.
Yeah.
That did a lot of work. But even that, there was a time where he was like on the ropes and running away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was such a championship battle. Like that is one of those that is worthy of $1,500 in between first and second there. And I'm sure you're probably looking at it as like, I bet you're like mistake after mistake after mistake. But
I know what, I wasn't really like, so I was restreaming it and doing some commentary and stuff on our end, and some of us were watching along there, and it was, yeah, you could definitely tell. So like for us it was like 1 o'clock, right? So I'm just thinking like Steve-O is probably over there. It's like everyone else is like, they're just ready for their night to start, and he's probably feeling tired, right? Because he's been driving out the whole way. And you don't quite get that lag. That jet lag doesn't quite kick in until at least a day or two, depending on how affected you are, right?
yeah.
But even everyone else, it was like, it's a long day, right? And what people don't realize with Genesis is, yes, the game is fun and you're enjoying it, but if you do that over and over and over, it's really taxing on the mental capacity.
And I don't want to discount like the players, like they were just it was just a bunch of mistakes and it was just bad play or anything like that. It's just one of those like end of day. I know that there were a couple like rope tornadoes that didn't reposition summons.
Yeah.
And like some of those opportunities to get out of the way. That's ultimately what I meant. They were a joy to watch. I'm excited to sample those. Like I'm going to take that video and I'm going to try to overdub it with commentary. Well, I might actually ask for your help on that.
Oh yeah, that could work.
Like if you want to do kind of color and strategy, and I can do play by play, try it out with like graphics, bring up the cards, like see what it would look like as a real proper cool stream to kind of practice for November.
Other things. Ooh, exciting. Yeah, we have for everyone watching, we have the first place Coon deck up on the screen right now, so you can peruse that.
Well, we don't have the forethoughts because that's not available quite there.
Yeah.
But I've got, so the forethoughts for this deck, there were 7 subjugation strikes, which were never used.
That makes sense.
4 more bolt shots, 1 more Cabas, and 4 shutdown. And the shutdowns are what really did the work there.
4 more bolt shots is really weird to me.
So 4 bolt shots and 4 shutdowns?
4 bolt shots, 4 shutdowns, 1
So
Cabas.
that's your 8 tsunamis, right?
Yeah.
So your 4 and 4 is 10.
Oh, okay.
And your 8 tsunamis. So
Gotcha,
what
that's what I was
they were doing there was what they ended up doing was they took out the tsunamis, because if you're just fighting if you're not fighting a lot of summons, you don't really need the tsunami damage per aura rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting a couple more bolt shots in there and the shutdowns gives you a little bit of a lower end control mechanism, as well as bolt shots real good, right? And we saw that a lot. The 7 substrikes, again, this is the debate that Alex and I were having off screen, and we can get into this a little bit as well. The rope tornado is the new card. Everyone's excited to try a new card out, and it definitely looked like it was really doing its work and really putting a lot of work in. But now that we've seen it and people now know that it exists or how it works, is that 2 health? Do you want to be running the Substrike main board, or do you want to run the Rope Tornado main board?
Yeah.
Where are you at, Alex?
So to catch people up, so we pretend like we didn't chat before. When I look at Substrike versus Rope Tornado, Substrike is just doing 6 flat damage to your opponent's champion, where Rope Tornado is doing 4 damage to the opponent's champion, but also 2 to you. Like, that's a huge, big number difference.
It's only really a 2-point life swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for an 8 sheet.
Assuming it hits, like that's there's the risk part of that.
So then what I come back with is that it's actually, though, it's picking up all those summons that are potentially getting around you or could surround you and hit you that turn, picking them all up and positioning them for a follow-up attack.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Rope Which Tornado. We usually saw with like the Warp Strike Bolt Shot.
Yeah.
So like it was Rope Tornado that set up
the Bolt Shot to hit everything, right?
Yep.
So now your Bolt Shot is both your damage, your game-winning card, but it's now also clearing your board. Yes, it is a 2-card combo. Yes, it is doing 2 damage to you, but I think you have to look at not so much the damage to champion versus you, but the potential damage of all the summons you're picking up versus the 2 damage to you.
So what I actually say here is, I think it's actually more a change on how the deck is being run. It's switching from being a full-out aggro deck to actually looking at, maybe I need to play some control and actually control the board. That's what I would see it as.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like a mid-rangey, like you kind of board wipe, pick up everything up, right? And then go for your attack. Oh, they rebuilt again. Okay, let's pick everything up and then go for, kind of a back and forth there. That's interesting.
Everyone who's all coming in. Figured I'm paying attention to chat too.
We did have a water warp. Do you want to talk about hit that before we went too far?
So I already put out the question to see how much he knows. He doesn't understand how warp works, so we need to start there. So let's just talk about the basic warp. Warp, you move left, forward, or right of the target. I wish we had a grid.
we got the Fate Weaver up here. The grid's here. All right, or break your back. Sure, you can do that too.
All right, I don't even know what I look like. Let me figure out what I look like right now. Where am I?
So we can still see your face
right.
a little higher, a little more in the face.
So let me pull out my like a credit card here, so you can know all my credit card information. Now,
activate your card.
Now, let's just say your target's here, and you were right here. If you warp, you can move to left, any adjacent spot. You can move back to its same spot if you want to, I believe, if you really want to.
Yes. You
how
can move
water
back to the same
warp
spot.
does, which is a little bit more weird. Water warp. So you're standing here. Water warp deals 5 area damage to these 3 spots, right? Then you may warp to one of those targets. So if it's summoned and it dies, you're not going to be able to warp to it. But if there's a champion, then you can do that same thing. If they're over here, you'll move to one of these 4 spots and try to do it first.
The key there is that whatever you're warping to or adjacent to has to still be alive. And this is why we have the card for Lingua, which everyone, is always like, what do we do? Why does it have 2 attacks? What's the purpose of this? Well, the 1 damage is so that the warp actually goes off. If it's a 2 health summon and you need to warp to dodge something or get out of the way or whatever, and you use a 3 damage attack, the summon will die before the warp can happen, and you can't actually warp at that point.
Yeah.
I like Shockwave's idea of putting the playmat on a shirt.
Yep.
And I want to do that of like the front is just the grid and the back is like, cat stop me if you want to learn how to play Genesis. And it just creeps somebody out. It's like, oh, you want to learn how to play? All right, well, here's what you do. And you start putting start using your belly
characters.
He's like, so you're a champion, right? And you're gonna move up and like that's a good selling tactic for Genesis.
We had a shout out.
No,
here.
I loved Warp because the first time you guys were playing it on stream, during that like at Heads or Tails, I was, oh my god, like I fell in love with that set watching the landmine warp jank that you guys were doing of like hit warp, landmine goes click, landmine goes boom. It was so awesome. No, we are not playing on me as the grid.
Oh boy, what is this stream? This is what happens when Sid leaves. So we have other Sid. He was the. I was thinking that a mute Nizaru is a huge problem for this deck,
Yes.
and that's yeah. It's
Let's
like
go through the cards that weren't seen because we also looked at one forethought. I'll ask about the next forethought.
Yep,
Mutiny
and I'll
Nizaru-
be in 5 minutes, by the way.
I know. Mutiny Nizaru just doesn't get hit by AoE. There's your summon. Rope Tornado's not going to do nothing.
Wait. But in this deck we have all AoE, don't we? AoE,
No,
AoE,
we have
AoE.
7. We have
some
7.
Wind Slash and some warp strikes.
Yes.
Both of those don't
total.
kill a mute. One for one.
Multiple. Yeah, you're going to need at least 2 for 1 it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to need to be in the position. Warp Strike works a little bit to be out of position. But then the most important card, and this is a forethought card easily, was Aura Purge.
Mm-hmm.
Aura Purge, we currently haven't seen it. Does the second place's forethought have any Aura Purges in there?
While I'm looking, if you can remind everybody what Aura Purge does.
Aura Purge stops you from being allowed to draw cards. This is the most important thing we're going to talk about. It's a trap, so you can place it from across the board. Your opponent does a dedicated studies. They just discard 2 cards because they're going to resolve dedicated studies. They don't get to draw.
And they mill
discard
2
2
cards too. They lose
they
the
mill
top.
2
Yeah, they mill 2.
Yeah.
To answer your question, yes, it did have Aura Purge in it.
It looks like we have a
Oh.
little bit of some technical difficulties here. This deck list is so varied, I can't fit it all on the screen. Let me see here. Let me see if I can do a.
That's like
Nope.
how I build right there.
I can't resize it. Oh, okay. All right, I'll just
That's okay.
scroll. Got the top here. We got like you said, right, Joey? Like a lot of 1s and 2s, probably what they had in their collection. But
Mhm.
I'm also starting to wonder if some people just enjoy playing the game this way. And
Yeah.
if it's us over here who had the game for so long and have played, against each other, and there's the rivalries, we like to push the competitive. If maybe we have pushed ourselves into these streamlined, really optimized 7 to 10 card decks, where other people, they just like throwing in some random summons. Like we saw a Kun deck also do this. They had like 12 or 11 different types of summons in the deck. And this is a case too where you just get a bunch of random cards and just play what you've got, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's bad. I think that'd be a fun, like a whole ETL, whole article series on, is this fine? Like the thing I love about Genesis is that there's no silver bullets in the deck. Things that are good against something specific just happen to be naturally good, which is a lot like your evasion and things like that. So when I see something like this, all I see instead of inefficiency is I see big bag of tricks.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability to get through that, if you have the ability to get into it, yeah, you might have some consistency issues, maybe. But when you have things like Epiphany and all of that, big bag of tricks, that could be a little bit more dangerous. I mean, Chris was specifically saying, it's like, he didn't even know that Rope Tornado was a thing.
Yeah.
That's just that. And, Tim had tested it in Kitchen Table and all that, but he just had a big bag of tricks that was able to kind of help stuff out quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
And
he was able to adapt.
I think the Epiphanies here allows you to get a bunch of these extra 1-ofs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for him, like he played the game, that first game, he kind of got a little bit raffle stomped, but then he kind of learned what the Rope Tornadoes was doing. And you saw like in games 2 and 3, like he stayed a step back. He kept the summons spread out a little bit so they can kind of collapse in. Like he changed his play style based on what he did. And he was a problem. Like I was thinking he had this thing game 3, especially watching poor Tim like cry and show me the one card in his hand, which is a dedicated studies. He's like, I have no hope here. And then he like top decks like 2 bolt shots eventually. I'm like,
yes,
fine, but
variance, it's still a thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting way to play, because you never really know what you're going to get in your hand, right? And you kind of play with what you've got. And I'm just thinking, I'm looking at this deck, the 1 cog restrict, and I remember that cog restrict came out and hit, just at the perfect time too. So
yeah,
that's awesome to see.
There are a few that had that, and then he was good to go for game 3. Just ran out of aura. I was like,
Hey, we
No,
got
it was-
Andrew's showing up. Welcome, Andrew.
yeah, God, seeing Siege Origins, I I have never been more inspired. Like, cause I looked at Origins and I was like, I gotta play Minot. Like that, like,
Nice.
Because I love playing Mei in Overwatch.
Okay.
And that's how I thought about Minot. Of I can put ice walls down not as a defensive strategy, but as I can split your army strategy. I can wait for, can get you on one side of the board and then split it with the ice walls, and then you have to deal with my crap completely outnumbered. That's the way that I saw her. But yeah, seeing Alta, oh man, I have ideas for Kareen. Oh. And then I went back because I wanted to go see, like, all right, how could you solve the rope tornado problem in Origins? With there's like a billion cards that can solve that problem. I was like, man, I just wanted to make more decks. And I'm bad at making decks because I never really tried outside of the Minot deck that I built with just J2. So, and I was amped up. It was like 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I gotta give kudos to having coverage. It definitely made, things over here watching. I mean, because the one thing that Genesis is really good, it is easy to watch. Like, you can watch Genesis and you can understand, once you sort of understand like how the card is laid out and what this is the way the card is facing. Okay, this thing can turn. Like, you can start seeing where things are going to go or where things might go or what you might do. And then also question, okay, well, why do they not do that, right? And you can get really sort of into watching it.
I was thinking about what you said earlier about like a team and whatnot. And one of the things I remember doing for Fab, because we didn't have a commentary team because we were in an echo chamber. But we had a live stream up, and then a different channel actually just fed that live stream in. So they were on a like 8 to 10 second delay, but they put their own commentary over top of it as they were watching the live stream. It was really cool. That might be a fun way to get around it. Kind of similar to what you were probably doing on Twitch, but outside of, I don't know if you were just restream. I assume it was like a couple seconds after, or did you like just restream?
I just threw the stream up, and I just, we lost. I don't lose internet too often here, so unlike Alex. So it was able to keep up pace. We did lose it every once in a while, and the audio went off, but we were able to sort of refresh it. But
I mean, that could definitely be something that would be worth trying at some point. Because you're right. When it's easy to watch, and like the more I'm thinking about it, because I was thinking in my head as I was rewatching, I was like, man, having commentary on this, just like having just that constant back and forth, having like the color analyst and the play-by-play, this thing would be nuts to watch. It'd be so fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be like you give the person doing that the deck list ahead of time too. Because that was the one thing we're trying to sort of, when the core deck came down, like we knew what Tim was doing. So we were calling out things, if he has the rope tornado and the bolt shot, do it now because you can pick up all these, before your turn even goes. But we weren't sure what the core deck was doing. We assumed it was a version or a copy of the 2021 championship core deck.
Maybe some of it was.
Some, yeah.
It's 2 pages, and then there's the 4th. He felt so bad too. It was like, I can't fit it all on one. I'm like,
he shouldn't feel bad. We should feel bad for not giving more lines.
Yeah. Why only 12 lines? I got 50 cards, one each.
Even when I was playing the first championship, there wasn't enough lines on it, and there wasn't even forethoughts back then.
That's because
all right. Well, I'll let you guys wrap this part up. I've got to go. But yeah, quick final thought. Lost Star was really cool. I walked away from that so jazzed. I think the communities in Discord, like Tavern Brawlers was going, and Team Covenant was going, and Kitchen Table was going, and the fan server was going. It got a lot of really cool. Like, it was really cool to see so many people talk about like the competition, and like the meta and how would you handle this. That was fun. That's a world I'm excited for.
Yes.
So thank you guys so much. Special thanks to Lost Star. Special thanks to Steve-O, Leslie, everybody who was out. That was a blast. And then
and Joey for judging and hosting.
Yeah,
right?
Joey.
Thank you. And Alex for saving my ass. Many of those things.
Question for you before you run away?
Yeah.
Did you get I know you asked the community for questions for Leslie. Did you get answers for those?
Yeah, let's see. I got
not a good one for mine. That's a tough question.
Neither were great. Well, there were two questions that I got, which was, are you going to redo the anime champions?
that was
It was
mine.
like, and the second one was, can people send her cards? And she was like, so I think people fine.
She, as far as I know, that she is a very busy
yeah.
individual doing a bunch of different things. So
What I can say is that we are still working with her. So I'm sure we can work certain things out. Naturally, if you guys don't know, we have the Art House Syndicate that is getting real close to getting started.
nice.
Which is a way to get art prints and things like that. We can do really cool things like bringing Leslie in for, some of her work in for a little bit.
Mhm.
So there are going to be opportunities out there. Hard to figure that out on a whim for this poor girl who did not even expect to sell out of the prints she brought, and they were gone like in 2 3 hours.
Joey posted, and I was like, "Yep, I'll take all 4." Yeah, right now. Hey, Joey, 4, all 4.
Yeah.
Joey.
I've got my list of like all the orders I had to take. So, but yeah, she is shocked. She is doing more artwork for Genesis.
Nice.
Capacity we get to keep a little bit zipped up, but anyway, I do have to go.
Yes.
Thank you, gents. Good luck. Have fun. I'll get the rest of the deck list up later.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks, Joey.
All right. Enjoy.
Cheers, mates.
All right. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go.
He's
Is that
gone. He's
awkward?
gone. All right.
It's a little awkward on our screen here. 1 second.
Shock was asking if she's doing more art for Genesis, like Joey said. She is. But that's as far as you're going to get.
All right. Speaking of art, we have not talked about that major drop of artwork.
Now that Joey's
Where
gone, we want to
did that
call him
come
that
from?
he just dropped it. Now that Joey's gone, call out that he just dropped or spoiler art for upcoming
My
promo.
goodness, that Death's Companion looks amazing. If you haven't seen it, fan server, unless Joey deleted it. Do you want me to do that live?
Might as well. I don't know.
Can I? 1 second. Let me find.
Where did it ask a Joey
Banter.
round table?
Talk.
Banter.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I got-
we're gonna put in the most important banter. So there's a groundhog that's coming living in my backyard eating our flowers. It's pretty random.
Did you name it? Because once you name it, you can't kill it.
We did not name it. The most we did was bang on a window to be like, "Hey, stop eating the flowers." Then he sort of like shyly walked back a few steps and hid around a plant and like waited for us to leave to go back to eating the flowers.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
I can't find it. Oh no. This is such bad live streaming. And I'm not even.
All right, we got an actual question. What is your thoughts on high kick?
Ooh, high kick.
Is that the one that deals 3 damage and then
Deals 3,
moves?
then moves.
Yeah. I like it. I don't know how much you've played it.
I mean, I understand. I just don't like the cost. I feel is just like, yes, you're dodging. I guess you're dodging the attack, so I guess it's it's a bit of both. But I am not sold on it yet. But
It can be a soft counter card. That's the thing. It's like if your opponent playing a substrike from your face, you could potentially dodge. You get to do 3 damage as well. I remember when we put this in Future League, there were Future Leaguers that just outright said that this card could not go forward and that it was just too powerful.
really,
Now, they said that and we kept it in Future League and like nothing ever came about it.
I don't remember that card in Future. Was it Strike and Move? Is that what
Strike
the
and
card
move,
is?
yeah.
I remember some people being upset about that, but
Like I think it's good, but it's because it's just that standard forward awareness, it's not broken. You should be doing your big plays from the side.
I think that's the part. Like you want to use this defensively, but I'm not expecting people to come to my front.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of like that direct defense, right? Like direct defense is cheaply costed. It works for what it's doing, but I never expect people to come to my front. So unless I'm trying to force a response from them first, and that just popped up right on the screen awfully. Why am I doing this live?
New question coming in from Shockwave. Will there be recursion cards put memories back to the timeline in the future? I wouldn't expect to see it for a while. Is the honest truth to that answer?
Shout out to Darren for getting me this image, or the location of the image.
The location of the image. There we go.
My brain couldn't do it.
We know that Sid is very against this as a mechanic. Wants the timeline to be one of those clocks that is always ticking down. So putting stuff back in is sort of against that. Now, that being said, my personal design philosophy, if you can gain health, if you can gain aura,
Do you know how many times I've heard this,
you
people?
can draw cards. Why can you do this for every other resource, but this one resource? No, that's the limit. To me, that doesn't make sense. Like, you can't tell me that there's 5 resources in the game, we're gonna say, and 4 of them you can recoup. It technically not a recoup, it's a transfer. Like, you can trade energy for the others or aura for the others, but this one does not get. And
Yeah, I think we've seen, the one that snuck through is Necrolich kind of snuck in, right? But
that's not recursion to the timeline.
That's not recursion to the timeline.
I don't think Necrolich is a problem at all. That's one again.
Direct specifically to the timeline?
Yeah, the timeline. Thoughts?
I mean, I've been around the game for so long that I understand that this battle is supposed to end at some point, right? Like, you are fighting and you just can't fight forever. You have to fight on a timeline. And then when their timeline is gone, your time is ended. You're done. You're dead. I understand that flavor.
Yeah.
I just don't like the word never.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
yes.
Don't say it will never happen, because you don't know, right? There may be a world or a situation or a setting where that is the thing. Like, that is the gimmick of that world or that setting, right? Like, right now we're very grounded. We're very, starting out. We don't want to push things or whatever too much, but on this, but you can't. I don't know. Wouldn't say never. But
No, but I want to talk about a separate issue. We look at these types of effects, and those types of recursion effects, gaining more aura has not been a good mechanic. Because when you're building your deck, you should just be building the deck around what you got. If you put all these cards to gain extra resources, you then don't draw the cards that we need to game, and you just lose. Would this just be that same sort of thing? Now, of course, you could tack it onto other playable cards like damage and then return a card, or damage and gain aura. If you tack it on like that, then they're probably better. But these hardcore just gain resources, even life gain, we've only recently seen a slight uptick in the Anime North circuit. Was the only place it has been viable. There's been no other tournament play where life gain really did anything.
I think I think life gain, I think it's just got a bad rap from other games where life really doesn't matter. But in this game, I think life is probably the resource to really be careful and watch, right? Because we know that we can win the game in 3 or 4 rounds. Like, we can build decks that win in 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Right? Which tells us that in 3 or 4 rounds, if we're looking at a normal character, non-Nubia, right, we're looking at 10 cards. That means we have 40 cards that we can 39, because you need to have 1 left in the remaining. You have 39 cards that are basically nothing. So you might as well use them for something, right? Like energy is really efficient in that way if we're looking at a 3 to 4 rounds. Now, I think the game is more about 4 or 5. It'd be nice to get 5, 6, and at that point, then we really get a restriction on, okay, well, 6 rounds, now we're 12 cards, but if I'm using so much each round, I have to be a little more careful about what that is. Gaining resources, like gaining aura, is like, okay, you played a card from hand, you gain some aura, but what are you doing? You're not gaining that many more cards. Now, Nubia gaining aura can be a little bit oppressive, but we really haven't seen a build like that yet.
Yeah, it's because the 150 she has to begin with is usually enough. Why does she need more? You're either a champion that already has enough aura usually, or you don't. Like, Nubia gets to draw those extra cards, so that extra card that for other people is too costly becomes an issue. I'm going to go on to the next question. Shockwave, what about an elderly champion with 250 chi limit?
This is big.
Old? and has 15 health. and
Everybody
40
wants
card
this.
They're older and wiser, should have less health and timeline. Shockwave, all you gotta do is win that championship, and that champion could be yours. You could be the elderly champion we need within Genesis. All right, Jason, a year ago I would disagree, but now that we have fatigue, I think in a case for something like that. So he's talking about more defensive for decks. I will see. It depends if fatigue became prevalent, but I think I actually agree with Will at this point, where I think fatigue is a support. It's not viable as a win con.
That's a Future League though. Future League, we definitely push fatigue a lot.
Yeah, to the win con until it got pulled back.
We got pulled back, and that's not bad.
It's not Avum Exodum pulled back.
All right.
Most important question here, coming from the Jefferson. How much attention was paid to Oni when building Origins to try and make her more viable? Origins and Oni was just so strong that we had to nerf all the Oni cards. I'm sorry, Jeff. Sorry we had to do that for you. But
you can play mono red though. You can play it, but you're going to burn a lot with Oni, and I would probably recommend Essa or Fang or Tashir if you're going to do it.
Yeah, just any character that is Thymos, just you literally build the deck and go, oh, I can play any other of these.
Yeah.
The only one that maybe doesn't work is Odara. Odara mono red versus Oni mono red is actually pretty fair fight.
What's the card that adds fatigue to every attack? With that, it might be possible to fatigue an opponent.
There is no card that adds fatigue to every attack.
Not anymore. Yeah, there was in Future League, right? The rabbit did add every attack, but when we were able to figure that out, and we stopped that. So
yeah. Now that being said, I'll just talk about some design here. I want fatigue to be I do want fatigue to be a win con, but I think we went about it the wrong way to be a win con. Fatigue was looked at from the view of fighters should have tools against casters because casters are playing too much energy. Like, it wasn't created to be a win con in theory.
It was a balancing mechanic, right? You're trying to rewrite the triangle, the rock paper scissors, the RPS.
So now where I want fatigue to be is I think I want fatigue to be on more summons, but I was just thinking about this today. I feel like if I wanted on more summons, I can't really put it on Axon and Thymos because it gets awkward.
Yeah. Something else is going to have to get those summons, right?
Yeah.
Now, we have every color pairing, right? So it really doesn't matter. Like, if we want to be able to, like, you can, whatever champion that is the best combination, right? And I went through and built 6 different fatigue decks, and they're all very similar because they're all Thymos or, Phage based. But and there are a few cards that aren't necessarily fatigue cards that can actually work with the same mechanics, right? Now, having said that, it's the all-in sort of fatiguing them and the all-in milling strategy, milling your card to kill them, milling your opponent's deck, that has been taken care of, at least for the easy way, right? There are more difficult ways where you can do it, but it's going to be a more OTK style.
Yeah,
but
that's fair. I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but Fable Legend will say, out of the new heroes, which one do you think will stand out the most? Your pick. You can pick one.
Only one?
You only have to pick one. Your choice.
Which one will stand out the most?
Who's going to stand out on top?
So I definitely feel like Tashir has some really good bottom end, like 3, 4, 5 G bottom end. And it's just, and it allows you to play whatever you want sort of on your top end. So I think right now I'm Tashir, but I personally love Shun. I just haven't brought out my Shun deck yet. So maybe Sunday in Midland, Ontario, we're doing a little, some of HOT crew, and I think a Jeff Bacido is also going to show up. crash the Midland party and play some Genesis all day. So if you're in Ontario and want to head up, we're going to be doing a little tournament there. How about you? What do you think?
I'm gonna say a little bias. It's probably not gonna be right, but I feel like not enough people are bothering to build the deck. It's Satyr. Satyr is just Nubia. Like why do people not see this? It's a narrow Nubia. Like it's a fairer. You know what she's gonna do and what she's gonna get.
I love Satyr in Future League. It's definitely one of the ones, and this is one of the things that even from, I know it was our first Origins legal event, but we saw no vampires or even elves, really, right?
Nope.
It was just Alta and Kareen.
Fairies.
And like Satyr, there's just so many builds. I just don't know which way I want to go with it, right? Like I know you've been playing your air build for a while now, which I appreciate the air thematics. But yeah, I still think there is something to Chaos and Bellum. Can it compete with Bellum Axon's sort of beat down aggro rush style? That's the hard part.
Well, like let's do a quick. I want to do a comparison of the Axon Bellum. The Axon that was played in the Con deck. There was 5 cards.
Oh, let me pull that back up.
Tsunami, Warp Strike, Dedicated Side Ace, Pressure Point, and Cavis. Everything else was Bellum, right? All the finishers were Bellum.
Yes.
From there, it's like Dedicated Studies, I think, is a risk to put in your deck nowadays. Not that I think people are still gonna get used to actually putting the Aura Purges in the decks, their own decks, or even in their forethoughts, but those feel like a risk to be in decks. So it's like, what of this is going to pull it? The Axon is maybe the Tsunamis, but the thing about Satyr is if you play a Tsunami, you kill a summon, at the end of the round, they could just get a summon that you couldn't AoE at that time. Right.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Axon has always been so supporting in its role, and it's done it so well that you just find the most efficient bolt shot, and you just throw it in because you can now find your bolt shots so easily. You can play them even without energy reduction because it's so cheap, and it just works because it's swift and really fast and hard to evade. But yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. Do you think the colors are that defined and set up to actually allow for color to take over another color?
If you're saying like there's a color counter another color, not so much anymore. I would say. I would say pre-Origins, when you'd be like, well, Axon has Tsunami, so it actually has AoE versus Swarms. Like you could define that. When you were looking at Thymos and you're like, it had Blitz, you could define that. I think there's a lot more tools to each color pairing now that it's harder to specifically define that it only does this. Can this other color beat that sort of style?
Yep.
No.
Who will take 20? Oh, did you say who'd you think? Sorry, we kind of got sidetracked. Who'd you think will stand out most?
So
Satyr. You said Satyr.
Satyr, I was saying, and I'm gonna bring it back, even though Will doesn't like it. I'm gonna put Iblis back onto the platform. Just for fun.
Iblis back on the platform.
So
who designed Iblis?
It was me, but I want you to look at this deck that won.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Look at this deck that won. What does it do against Iblis? It's just doing raw damage.
It probably burns out. Yes,
it burns out. It loses.
However,
now, Iblis, I think, would lose to the second place deck.
Yeah. So that was my point. I'm not sure Iblis gets to meet this deck because other decks will take care of Iblis before. And that's not saying anything against Iblis. I think that's just the color combination that Iblis is in. The green and yellow, I don't think has enough tools to do all the things it needs to. Whereas, yes, this is pure damage. And yes, if this got matched up to Iblis, the Iblis deck probably wins. But I'm not sure if the Iblis deck and this deck meet when it actually counts.
So I think of that. I think I agree with you. And we talk about rock, paper, scissors of the deck building, but I think it's rock, paper, scissors of the deck types. And that's where the Iblis is about. We've really, up to this point, we've had 2 deck types. You have your burst deck and your mid-rangey summoner deck.
Yeah. And
the burst decks kept just winning against the summoner decks because the burst decks have the choice of, controlling and killing the summons or just outright killing the opponent.
Dash and flight. It's called dash and flight.
Yes. Well, that's just fun. But the Nubia damage deck doesn't care about dash and flight. Just
2 extra cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's just damage. And that's why I'm saying there was these 2. The Iblis deck destroys these burst decks that have been dominating. But I think people love to play the mid-range decks. And I think that's where you're what you're talking about. I think the mid-range decks are the decks people want to play.
Yes.
And they're being bullied by the burst decks.
So then you have to that's where you have to sort of become a hybrid where it's like, okay, I'm going to choose my favorite summon or my best summon in my color pool or whatever. And then I need to also have this package of cards that allows me to deal with the Kuns that are just going right to my face, or the Nubias that just always have a full hand of cards.
Yeah.
But Aura Purge, I think, needs to start seeing. The other thing that this deck here had Warp Strike.
Yes.
The other Kun decks, I saw no movement. Right?
Foolish.
We could pull up the core deck here.
3 Chrono Walkers.
Some Chrono Walkers, which is, that's always good. But again, if I scroll down here, I don't see, 2 Warp Strikes, some Otens, because Chaos has Oten, and the Cog Restrict, and some Gusts. But I think
this deck has enough just because of its extra draw. Like, it gets to draw out of that, like running less.
And the call of the bones. Like, if we were to get our hands on this, we'd probably be like, take a couple more call of the bones, throw them in, because it's a card, it's turn advantage, it's everything. I think we as a community don't run enough movement. We don't appreciate the movement. We can run so much damage so that we do. Jeff, yes, you have your wonderful first box opening. We will not compete with you, Jeff. We all bow down to Jeff and his box
Jeff,
opening.
Why don't you just join into this meeting and we're gonna leave?
Why don't you just do your box opening right here, right now?
Yeah, do it right now.
Jeff does have a box opening he's doing tonight. Go watch him. Shout out to him.
There was another shout out. There is an event on the fan server. Let me figure that out.
Yes, I have that. Do you want me to do that, or you want to do it?
Go for it. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Central Time, Saturday. Origin cards! ! And free entry.
That's on the fan server. Did you say fan server?
We're the fan server. You can have some nice win from them fans.
We are. Oh my gosh, we are the worst advertisers. Okay, so we have North of Exile. Oh, where am I? North of Exile event on the 28th. We have a fan server event for anyone who wants to join on. That was the Saturday.
Yes.
27th.
I would assume so. It says 1:30 p.m. Eastern Saturday. I got no other dates.
So 27th, Saturday, and then we have Jeff's first box opening, the one and only, from cracking packs in cars, doing a whole box, but not in a car, or maybe he's in a car. I don't know.
Maybe
that's his shtick. So
Damien saying that if you're not doing the fan server thing, you could come to Cambridge, as he'll be hosting an open house or an event. I don't know. He just said come to Cambridge, so I don't know. Just go to Cambridge.
I was always told when someone on the internet says come to this location, you're not supposed to. CCCP.
Collectors in cars cracking packs. Box. How does box opening fit into this title? I see no B's in the CCCBs. Yeah.
Also, isn't CCCP like the old Russian? I don't know. We're going into stuff we should talk about. All right. Yeah. So those are the 2 decks. We had Alta. We had Kareen. We had the Core versus Kun matchup. Is this the new rivalry? No longer is it Idris versus Nubia. It's Core versus Kun.
Versus Kun. Apparently.
John, John said it's still PAX. Yes, but it's a box of packs. You have to include the box
Yeah, the box. Come on.
or the box topper.
It is 8:00. I wish I could join you this Sunday, but I am at Fan Expo this weekend. So you guys enjoy yourselves.
Are you? Is there any Genesis happening at Fan Expo?
Probably not.
No.
no. There's
Fan
not,
Expo is
unfortunately.
insane. So
We didn't want to compete with North of Exile, so we wanted to give them full support.
North of Exile just announced it like 2 weeks ago. So
Hey,
when's the next
making
circuit?
up stuff,
When's the next circuit?
It's like in 3 weeks, right?
For Germany?
Is it Compete
Or
Sports
is it
Germany
UK?
first?
Oh, competes in September.
First. Yeah, it's Compete Sports in 3 weeks.
Oh, when's the Germany and the UK ones?
We don't talk about the UK one anymore.
Oh, is it not happening?
We don't know. The store has
issues.
stopped responding. We
Okay.
should probably cut the stream. I keep saying stuff.
Don't start. Oh, we hit 100 messages. Yay, now we can cut the stream.
Now we can cut the stream.
All right, bye everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
And